Hi everyone, so this is the second video of the second speed picture, 30-minute speed picture that I decided to do. In this case it was, I think, Indonesian SWAT police and a Jeep, a yellow Jeep. I like the colors, I like the colors and different materials that the Jeep uses, the matte blacks because of the rubber and the plastic guards, and also the shiny yellow. I think that kind of B color composition really works really well. And the other thing as well, like I think the poses of the characters on the right, the policeman on the right, is also quite strong. I didn't use just the one on the front. It was a little combination of the one on the front and then a number of them at the back as well. So after I fleshed out the silhouette, I went in to do the line drawing, and the line drawing was, I think, a little bit more concrete than the previous thing that I did with the Arctic Guard, the red soldier. In this case, yeah, I lined out everything. Again, something that worked last time was doing this line work that didn't necessarily stick within the lines of what was before, and then going in and refining the actual silhouette after the fact. Created a new layer, and this time around I actually filled in areas I wish to be black or darker. They're still staying on a kind of the brownish range, but that's basically the area that eventually I wanted to be black. Create another layer and set it to multiply. In the last video I talked about that I didn't have any hard shadows established, and this one I decided that I was going to do hard shadows, so as a result I just created a multiply layer. It was set to kind of a lightish blue, but because it's multiply it made it a lot darker. So the back foot is completely in shadow. There's a lot of shadows on the bottom, underneath the elbow and the torso, and underneath the chin. I went in with a smudge brush. I think that part really saved me a lot of time, using the smudge brush during that particular stage of the process, and then again going back to my my basic round brush to establish certain areas as blended as I wanted. I used the airbrush again, but not as strongly as last time. I noticed as well that my silhouette was not super clean, so I had to go back in and redefine it a little bit better. And again, going back and just resmudging areas which I felt were a little bit too sharp and they needed a little bit of blending. And then going in with the basic brush and painting in some details. I think one of the things that worked is establishing that shadow color quite early. The large shadow drop color really gave me a lot of value to pick from. So when I was painting it, I didn't need to kind of figure out necessarily where the shadow colors are going to be. I knew where the shadowed yellow material was going to be, and the shadowed darker places as well. Overall, I felt that in the little later stage, I felt that the black parts, which ended up being brown, were not black enough. So they were too warm actually. So I went in and added like a blue hue over the top lightly, but it's just pulling it a little bit away from the warmer hues that it is currently. I like the fact that the Jeep had also these shades, not shades, but lights, and I thought it was something that I could introduce into the concept to make it a little bit interesting. Looking back at it now, I think the image also worked well because of the helmet. I think, yeah, drawing people's faces takes up quite a bit of time, and it's quite a prominent feature of any character. I went in for what worked before, adding a nice helmet and interesting padding to the front of the forearm. So I went in here and I did the same thing. Towards the end of the picture, I go in with some text to define it as police officer. I create some text and I put it on the arm and on the strap on the leg as well. I think overall this image was a success. Looking back at it now, I think some other things that I could have done a little bit better is maybe some of the folds on the legs, like that pocket on the side. I think I could have spent a little bit more time detailing it, because it is something that features quite prominently on the side there. Same thing with the pockets, but realistically I think I am quite happy with it. The colors are quite striking, the text is readable. I feel it's a relatively unique concept, and again, it's putting that strategy to good use of combining two very separate things, sidestepping all the logical arguments of why it might be a good or a bad idea, and just mushing it into an interesting relatively original, I feel relatively original concept. So yeah, here comes the final image. I think it ended up quite nice. If I were to spend more time on it, I probably could have rendered it a little bit further out, but for a 30-minute picture, I think it was a success. So, see you guys in the next video.